Muto reads equations and formulas to us one by one in his usual unenthusiastic monotone directly from the book. It's possible that he might be excited about what he teaches us. Sometimes he can display an awkward spark of passion for it, as if he's starting to get into the material. Most days, however, are like this one. What we're covering is fairly simple, so I find it increasingly difficult to keep my concentration on him. It's not too long until my legs begin aching again, which only makes it even harder. I'm almost starting to regret walking around the city yesterday with Lily. Since leaving the hospital, I've done very little physical exertion. Walking to and from the local corner store hardly counts. Despite Emi's attempts when I first arrived in Yamaku, I've largely given up on the idea of ever returning to my old level of fitness. I have little doubt that's why we're walking around town for so many hours has made me quite so sore. It's depressing, and it reminds me of one more thing I can't do since I had my heart attack. It makes me feel pathetic. Bro, ikuwazike zawa, bro. Bro dead. My bad. It's odd for Muto to ask Hanako a question, but not unheard of. She quickly jumps to her feet, a little startled, and immediately pins her eyes onto him. She knows that Muto calling on her is rare, so all eyes in the classroom are going to be on her. This way, she doesn't run the risk of making eye contact with anyone else.
Yes?
In this bro reaction with a bro bustion, and the bro produces what? Bro dead. Even though it's a softball question, she timidly waits a bit before answering, biting down slightly on her lower lip as if to keep her concentration.
Heat?
Yeah, bro. Receiving a nod from Muto, Hanako takes her seat once again and gives a relieved sigh. A shaky start, but it's something. It'll be nice to take her out for her birthday, somewhere different from the usual isolation of her room and the tea room. With the progress she's made until now, I don't think she'll have much of a problem going to the city. Right then, bros. Let's get in the bro group, bro huddle time, bro, do it, bro! Muto sits down behind his desk, pulls some loose sheets out of the folder, and starts on some kind of paperwork of his own. I thought teachers were supposed to do that kind of thing after class, not during. Regardless, I look to my right to pick out someone to form a group with. Given the two smiling faces hovering near mine, I don't think I'm going to get much say in the matter. I suppose we have a group then.
He-chan, you wanna work together? Okay, that's great. It's really been a while.
The class begins the process of noisily shuffling the desk around, with Shizune doing the same as she puts hers in front of mine. She's a little lucky to not be able to hear the din of the classroom, which is loud enough to cause some discomfort. Oh, please invite Hanako. Truth be told, working with Shizune and Misha is probably a good outcome. Shizune and I are pretty good at the subject, and Misha has really nice handwriting. As I look to Misha, I notice a tall figure behind her. The shadow catches Misha's attention as well as she turns to face a dark-haired observer.
Good afternoon, Hanako. Hello.
Shizune finally notices Hanako after looking up and following the gazes of Misha and I. In quick measure, she taps Misha on the shoulder to get her attention before signing away.
Shi-chan says if you're looking for a group, you can join ours.
Hanako looks down and blushes a little at the offer. Out of all the people in the class, Hanako's most familiar with the three of us, so it's reasonable that she'd come to us first. And then again, her actually coming up to a group with the intention of joining them is something she apparently very rarely did before. She leaves briefly to drag her desk over, and Shizune and Misha wheel back to me as soon as her back is turned.
I guess we get to play again, Ichan. You hardly ever play with us anymore.
I wonder why. You two always seem to have some ulterior motive. Not the sexy kind.
That hurt weird, Hee-chan. I'd almost think you were insulting me. But it's Hee-chan, so I know that you're joking.
Such a great sense of humor about it. It'd be awful if someone were to take advantage of your good nature, like making you help them with their work. Shizune seems excited for a second, a little surprised that I'm willing to challenge her. But when she sees Hanako coming back, she backs off with a smile. I guess the mind games are over early today. Hanako gently sets down her desk in front of Misha's, her eyes locked downward, and I'm left wondering why until I look around the class. Most are busy setting up their own groups, but a few are casting curious glances at her. At this range, it's hard to tell whether that is where their interest in her ends, or if they are talking about her as well. It's strange. No one bats an eyelid when Hanako runs out of class to avoid group work, but now that she's making an effort, they're staring at her as if she's done something wrong. We all move to sort ourselves out, spreading our textbooks and worksheets around the larger surface created by the four-joined desk. It isn't long before the class as a whole gets down to work.
Hi, Hanako. It's nice to finally work with you. Yeah. Are you the reason Hee-chan has been avoiding us lately? Shi-chan says it's a little rude, but if Hee-chan wanted to spend time with a cute girl, it's understandable. I don't think it's like that.
Hanako starts to fidget, unused to this kind of attention. I think it's adorable. I think it's that an ordinary person would drop the conversation by now. But Misha is like the antithesis. Yeah, antithesis. I got it. Have a little faith. Have a little faith of Hanako. Part of that includes being blind to ordinary social cues, while Hanako is overly sensitive to them. Because of that, Misha barrels ahead with the questions, too quickly for me to get a chance to interject and guide the discussion somewhere more comfortable.
Really? So, he wasn't hanging out with you yesterday?
Ooh.
No.
I can feel my cover being blown already. Lily didn't want Hanako to know that we were out buying presents for her, let alone planning out her birthday party. It wouldn't be good for her to find out. Yeah, I was doing something else. You know how it is.
Really? I wonder what was so important for Hee-chan to blow us off like that. If it wasn't to spend time with Hanako, then what could it be? It's really interesting.
Just say homework! Now this is starting to feel like an interrogation. I'm surprised at how Misha is able to exert such a feeling of pressure without actually intending to.
Oh, fuck. You called it! No! Fuck. Oh, shit.
Well, were you with Lily?
Oh my god, 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 oh my god.
At the end of the day, she's a girl too. And she's like that friend that gets overshadowed by her more energetic friend. And like all the boys are always into her. Oh no! No!
It's not like that. Or it might be, I don't know. Fuck.
Maybe that's why they made such a a point to make to give us the understanding that Hisao isn't loyal in this route, like that he's looking. Like they even gave us a whole new girl just so that we could look at her tatas while she stretched.
Oh boy. I don't know.
Not like this. Not like this. Not like this. Out of nowhere, Hanako manages to stumble on the answer. She may be dreadfully quiet and shy, but she's very intuitive. Oh, what makes you say that?
Yesterday, Lily said something similar.
Shizune, you fucking psycho. She looks so stoked. Ah.
Suspicious! Hee-chan, I demand that you explain yourself.
Hey, shouldn't we be doing the assignment? I turn to look at Hanako. It's true. From the expression on her face, it's obvious that she wants to know as well, and I think we're past the point where I could weasel out of having to provide an explanation. I apologize to Lily in my mind. She really did want to keep it a secret, but now it doesn't seem possible anymore. I swear to God, if you explain Hisao in a way that there can be misunderstanding, because this is very anime-ish, and you just don't come out with a full truth, I'ma dropkick a baby. I feel a rush of conflicting emotions, so jumbled that I can't readily identify them, but they crash around in my head as I try to calm down and speak. Alright, I'll tell you. I went into town with Lily, but it wasn't what you think. Lily and I were... for Hanako's birthday, we were... The cat is out of the bag. But it looks like Hanako is taking it a little better than I thought she would. A brief silence passes around our little group as Shizune and Misha look at each other rather sheepishly. I can tell that they didn't expect their game to turn out like this. They fucked up. They thought that they, caught me cheating. And now, don't you feel like a jerk, Shizune? That's right. You're a big jerk. You ruined the surprise birthday party. You jerk. Misha looks up to Hanako in order to apologize, then pauses. Hanako is staring at the middle of her desk and barely moving, a maudlin expression on her face. I guess I was wrong about her taking it well.
Hanako, I'm sorry.
There's a few seconds pause, but Hanako lifts and shakes her head.
It's okay.
Her expression looks odd, like she's very tired. It doesn't seem natural, but it's nothing alarming. Nobody really wants to continue with the current conversation, so we open our textbooks and begin our group work. This is pretty dull. Oh no, the fucking sad music is on. While the equations we're supposed to work out as a group will take a while, most of it is going to be boringly mechanical. It also doesn't help that while that didn't go as bad as it could have, it has left an awkward atmosphere around us. Still, we manage. Shizune's face betrays that she has about the same expectations of our work as I do, and the two of us begin to write our group's results. Misha, on the other hand, is scrunching up her lips and very visibly trying to make heads or tails of what we're doing. Hanako is looking on quietly, absorbing what we write and what I say. She usually has the same expression when the teacher speaks. It's a shame her attendance is so unreliable. With the way she takes in information, I think she'd do quite well in class if she actually followed the lessons regularly. I wonder if this might be why Shizune seems so hard on her.
Hey, Hanako, do you understand this?
Misha looks to Hanako, but I suspect her hope is more to find a comrade in ignorance rather than genuine help.
Not really, I guess.
I'm surprised by how tense she is in answering, but she settles back down. She breathes out, and the way her upper body and head lower reminds me of a deflating balloon. You okay? I could go over this bit if you want. Hanako shakes her head slightly, but then again, I don't think she needs the extra explanation despite what she said. Misha quickly interjects, entirely oblivious, and I end up slowly going through now how we ended up at one of our results step by step. Times like this reminds me that this kind of work may not be mechanical for everyone, but rather feels that way to me due to my grasp of the subject. It's a satisfying feeling. As Misha brings her balled fist into an open hand in realization, I discover another nice feeling. My explanation got through to her, and she manages to work out the next equation by herself with a minimum of guidance. Ah, we found out that we're a teacher. This is where we find out we're a teacher.
Hey!
Throughout all of this, Hanako is unusually unresponsive. She's normally very quiet, but one can still see her eyes roving periodically over the landscape of the classroom in front of her, or anxiously moving her hands in some way, or shifting her shoulders periodically. Right now, these small movements that I've gotten used to seeing are all missing. Someone not moving at all is definitely weird. Even Misha can tell there's something wrong.
Hanako, are you sure you're okay? Yes,
Are you sure?
I'm fine.
A little more strongly this time, but she turns away as she says it. It only makes me doubt her answer, yet at the same time, I can tell she doesn't want to talk about it further. Having already had one very awkward conversation today that I'm still not fully over, I don't want to pursue the matter too much either. We settle back into our routine, debating over our answers whenever a doubt comes up, but as time goes on, I notice that Hanako isn't talking at all. It's frustrating. She had made so much progress. It makes me a little angry at Shizune and Misha for undoing the surprise Lily had wanted to keep secret so much. I know I'm at fault too. Maybe I could have kept it under wraps somehow? Shizune has noticed Hanako's silence as well, and is also getting antsy. I can see it on her face. It's strange that even though she's deaf, Shizune has perceived Hanako's unusual quietness sooner than Misha.
Hanako, you're being too quiet. You have to contribute too. Someday we might work on a bigger project, like one that's so big it's worth celebrating afterwards, like with ice cream or cake. If you act like this, we won't take you along.
I can tell they're trying to tease her to bring her out of her shell, but I don't think that kind of approach will work on Hanako. It will just make her feel worse. Guys, don't tease her like that.
Hee-chan, it's all in good fun. She-chan says she teases everyone anyway.
They do back off though, with Misha moving away from the issue by asking me a question again. On seeing how difficult the problem she is working on is, I don't know whether it was a skillful dodge or a mere coincidence. It takes way more of our time than necessary because Shizune keeps disagreeing with me while I'm trying to explain it to Misha, and Misha is quick to believe her over me. So quick, in fact, that she forgets to translate what Shizune is saying. Hey, the clock is kind of ticking down. We should speed up a little.
Hee-chan, you sound a little like She-chan there.
Just because I looked at my watch? Jeez, is that really all it takes? Time management and suddenly I'm the student council president? What the fuck?
What's going on?
I look at Hanako's desk to see how she's doing and freeze. Our papers are covered in equations, but Hanako's only halfway there. It seems like she hasn't written anything in the past 20 minutes. Then I realize that I want to kick myself for how dumb I've been. I should have known that someone as fragile as Hanako wasn't just going to brush off what had happened so easily, but I've been too eager to move on from an awkward situation to notice. She's been slowly shutting down for the last half hour, and I had no clue. Her pen is still in her hand, but she doesn't slowly spin it around like she usually does. There isn't a single idle movement in Hanako. Only the fact that she tries to inch away once she feels Shizune and Misha and me looking at her tells me that she is even still conscious. We look away, and at least in my case, it's partly out of shame that it's gotten to this point. Though on the outside she has shut down almost completely, I know that it's a different story on the inside. What kinds of things could she be thinking about as she tries harder and harder to shrink into herself, as if by willing it she could somehow disappear? Everyone is looking at her now, stealing quick glances between putting the finishing touches on their work. Misha attempts to ask her what's wrong, but that only makes the problem worse. If she weren't frozen into her seat, she would probably run out of the room right now. Misha's questions are loud enough to be heard throughout the entire classroom, and for a second, I'm ready to snap at her because, well, I can only imagine how much worse it's making Hanako feel.
Dude, she's bawling. She's crying so much.
Of course, if I were to do that, it would only make the situation worse. I believe that Hanako had gotten stronger, and she has, but it wasn't enough, and I was way too eager to believe it. Now she's terrified, alone in the middle of the classroom, and there's nothing I can do without drawing more attention to her. It's infuriating. Misha's worried and even Shizune is biting her lip. None of us know how to deal with the situation, so I decide to call Muto. His judgment would probably be better than ours. I look up and manage to catch his eye, silently motioning for him to come over. I want to make as little a fuss about this as possible, since if there's anything that would make it this worse, it's more attention being focused on her. I know that Hanako can see everyone staring at our group, specifically at her, because they know that if there's a problem, it has to be her. Everyone knows her, and it's the first thing everyone's mind would leap to. Her reputation for being a Trant has marked her as an unusual person, even in unusual Yamaku. Who knows how many times they have stared at her before. Maybe it's because she's seen the class staring at her so much that she fears their gazes like she does, cowering from them. The time it takes Muto to walk over must be like an eternity to Hanako, and she looks as if she's about to fall over. Muto quietly begins to ask us what's wrong before catching himself as she sees Hanako.
Did we upset her?
Oh, don't worry. Muto bends down before calming Misha and looks intently at Hanako's face. Hi, Ikazawa, can I help you at all? His voice is hushed and gentle. Everyone's acting so differently around Hanako now that the whole class has noticed something wrong with her. Hanako doesn't respond, so Muto gently rests his hand on his shoulder.
Aww.
She starts shaking at his touch, but won't even look up. Hanako continues to stare into the equations on her desk, vision so unfocused that I doubt she even sees them. She is worse than before, and I remember that not even an hour ago she was able to talk to him almost normally. Muto grimaces a bit as he stands again, and now that his expressions change, I can see he wasn't exactly unaffected by what happened either. He takes a breath to settle himself before speaking in a very quiet voice. I'm a little impressed at how quickly he takes control of the situation. Is that it? Nothing wrong then? Muto seems to say that to no one in particular. However, his words sound convincing enough that most of the people who are looking over at Hanako now turn away, getting back to their work. He gives a quick glance to his left and right. Several people at the desk around us are still staring curiously, but other than that, we seem to have escaped attracting too much attention. Muto notices me doing the same as him and smiles a little, in his usual stilted way. And I think for Ikazawa's sake, that it would be good to quickly take her somewhere away from others. Nakai, Hakamichi, would you please take Ikazawa out of the classroom? I'll keep everyone settled, so please don't worry about anything but her, okay? He looks at Misha to tell her to interpret his words for Shizune, but she's already finishing her translation by the time he does so. It's remarkable how little thought she needs to sign, as she still looks quite dazed otherwise. Nodding, Shizune and I stand and move to either side of Hanako. Muto steps back to allow us some room and talks to the table behind us as some people have begun to mutter between themselves about what's going on. As we look at each other before lowering ourselves in unison, taking one arm around each of our shoulders and lifting. The two of us begin to walk at a slow pace to make sure we don't inadvertently hurt her. As much as we try to make this look normal, I'm sure there would be many more gazes on us if not for Muto's distraction. Eventually, thankfully, we reach the door and go through. Nobody's outside, so we walk down the hallway. It doesn't seem like it's making her more at ease than she was in the classroom. Finally, I ask if she wants to just sit down. For a while, we simply stay in place and wait for her to say something. Shizune tentatively rubs Hanako's shoulder a little, but there's no response. Eventually, she shakes her head a little when Shizune tries again. Both of us are looking at her, so we pick up on it immediately. Shizune's hand comes to rest on Hanako's shoulder as she awakens, her face lifting to two very worried and anxious people looking at her. She looks at us silently for a while. I'm initially worried she might freak out or do something extreme, but those fears prove unwarranted as her expression slowly changes from an almost lifeless blank state to a more normal withdrawn shyness. She wordlessly lowers her head, her eyes evasively moving to the side. She looks embarrassed, almost ashamed. I want to say something, anything, to help. I can't though. I don't really know what just happened or even what caused it. I feel helpless and ashamed of myself for not being of any use. Shizune sighs before looking at me. Even without words, I think I can tell what she's asking. I'll take Hanako to the nurse. Is that okay by you? I tried to communicate my intentions through hand gestures, but I don't feel like I managed to get through to her very well. Shizune makes a dreary face in response to my gesticulations, confirming my impression. She stabs her finger in the air decisively, first at me, then at Hanako, and then towards the stair. She waits for me to nod before pointing at herself, then pointing to the door to the classroom. I get a feeling that Shizune is much better at this than I am. I nod at her, since her plan is, after all, the same as mine. Shizune gets ready to make her exit, but she only leaves after looking at Hanako for quite some time. Are you okay with me taking you to the nurse's office? Hanako doesn't say anything or nod, but she stands up in place by herself, and when I begin to walk, she obediently follows. I've read about people being catatonic before, but I think this time I'm seeing it for myself. She looks extremely tired. After everything that's happened, it's not a surprise. After Hanako silently takes off her shoes and lies on the bed in the infirmary, the nurse and I take our leave. He shuts the curtain behind us. We both take a seat, and I quietly and thoroughly go through everything that happened in quite some detail. I want to understand what happened, and the nurse has a good chance as anyone of knowing. He nods throughout my explanation, his face looking troubled as I finish.
You okay?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
It must have been very troubling for you to have seen all this.
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. I get that she fainted, but I don't really understand anything about why it happened or why she's acting like this. He nods, but his face is clouded. You don't know either?
Well, yes and no. It's complicated. I assume you've heard about the concept of patient confidentiality at some point. This is a bit of a minefield in that respect. I'm going to put this pretty bluntly. This is a matter for Ikezawa, me, and her therapist.
I move to protest, but think better of it. I want to deny that what he says, but if I think this through rationally, what he says makes perfect sense. I understand.
Good. I wish I could help you more, but I think that Ikezawa needs right now isn't somebody prying into her past or emotions. She just needs somebody to be there for her. She needs a friend. For what it's worth, I think you've done well in bringing her here. Sounds like you and your friend dealt with the situation very well too. I'd give you a lollipop or a sticker as a reward, but you might be a little too old for that.
He gives a cocky grin, obviously trying his best to lighten the atmosphere. I'm not really in a laughing mood, but he does manage to get a smile out of me. Thanks. Do you mind if I stay here with Hanako?
I appreciate the thought, but I think it would be better to let her rest for now. She'll be back to her dormitory room this evening. You can go visit her then.
I agree with him before standing. It feels like all I can ever do around the nurse is humbly agree to what he says. But it was a shame with the doctors in the hospital too. The walk back to the classroom is a long one, my mind feeling heavy under the weight of so many things happening so suddenly. Even as I re-enter the classroom, I'm thinking about Hanako. My stomach feels like it's turning into knots while I think about how to deal with her. I still don't know what I'm going to say when I see her again. Thankfully, the class doesn't pay much heed. There are a couple of questioning glances, but overall, not many people seem to be aware of what happened. Muto raises his eyebrow to get my attention when I pass by his desk.
Nakai, I see Ikezawa's in the infirmary now?
Yeah, I took her there, and the nurse said I should let her rest. Muto nods, assuring me that I made the right call. He scratches his chin for a second before raising to his desk. Keep on going, bros. Bros, keep on going. I'll, need to talk with Nakai, bro. His speech is hushed, but overall he doesn't seem to be acting too differently from how he usually does. Being a teacher, maybe it's to be expected. As we go into the hallway, I notice him taking a quick glance left and right to check if there are any students milling around. The hallway is nearly soundless, but I can't think of anything except waiting for Muto to speak.
Nakai, what do you think the purpose of this school is?
To cater to the needs of disabled students? Muto scratches his head and shakes it.
No. If we wanted to do that, we would have built a whole new school from scratch. One floor, talking whiteboards, that kind of thing. Look around, Nakai. The school is about giving you all a future that you would have been denied in regular education.
Huh?
Think of it this way. If we wanted you to graduate and go straight into a hospital, do you think we'd put this much effort?
The bluntness of Muto's statement temporarily stuns me, causing me to forget about the immediate situation. No.
That's right. We want you all to leave here as useful members of society.
I'm not quite sure I'm following you.
I have high hopes for you, Nakai. You are possibly the first student I've had to get my lectures.
This isn't something that a teacher should be admitting so freely.
You could easily take your studies of science well into university. Have you ever considered that?
I can't say I have.
Well, what have you considered? For your future, that is.
I can't say that I've put much thought into my future. For a moment, I'm distinctly reminded of Lily questioning me about the same subject. It's only been a little over 5 months since I was gasping for air on the ground. It's too soon to be thinking about the future. And besides, Haneko's problems seem much bigger to me right now. Muto gives a disapproving sigh before continuing.
Think of this place as an opportunity. Here you have boundless facilities, good teachers, plus the added bonus of the nurse and his staff. You should be doing nothing but thinking of the future.
Right. As I raise my head to meet his gaze, a thought occurs to me. It's almost like Muto totally sidestepped the issue at hand. Excuse me, but why do none of the staff seem to care when Hanako skips class? I've seen you watch her walk out of class more than once. Shouldn't you at least say something?
Well, Nakai, it's not really that simple. Every student here has special needs. If it weren't for that, then we wouldn't have a school here. For example, I wouldn't keep you in class if you were having trouble breathing, would I?
But that's not... Muto cuts me off before I can even think about finishing my sentence.
Ikezawa's case is very much like that, but instead of CPR or a pacemaker, what she needs is time and space. The facility was made aware of this from the day she arrived here. Thus, whenever she feels the need to leave classes, we let her do so. And even though she isn't a star pupil, she seems to pass all of her exams, so it hasn't affected her ability to study. Isn't that enough?
I open my mouth to protest, but I can't find a fault in his argument. While her condition does at first seem to be wholly psychological, its worst effects have been on her psyche. It still puts me off, though. Isn't he just passing on the responsibility for her problem? Surely she can't go on like this for her entire life.
I understand that you might not be used to this kind of thing yet.
It's been a big change for you. That said, it's less than a year until graduation now. Maybe you won't have to get used to this school. If you keep your head down, I'm sure you'll do well enough in your exams. I numbly nod, more to simply acknowledge that I'm listening than out of agreement. I felt like I was getting used to this school, but it feels like it's just been thrown back in my face. But what about Hanako? I believe, well, I hope that she will perform well enough to do what she wants to do. What that is, I do not know. Not all students leave school with an idea of what they want to do, unfortunately. He takes care to emphasize the last word, as if it wasn't quite clear enough already, and gives me a moment to mull his words over. Today has been a troublesome day for you, and I doubt you'd be able to concentrate much anyway after all that's happened. So I will allow you to take the rest of the day off. Your grades have been good in this class so far, which makes me think you won't have any trouble catching up on what we've been doing. He gives a small smile along with his praise, as if to make up for the seriousness of his lecturing before now. Go collect your things, bro. I'll see you tomorrow. Right. Thank you. Muto's roundabout speech has left my thoughts scattered. I'm still not any closer to working out what I can do to help Hanako, if anything, and my mind is all the more confused after what Muto said. But also still bothered by the fact that Hanako was helped at least as much by Shizune, her enemy by proxy, as by myself. But I don't know whether that was just male bravado or a genuine concern. While I collect Hanako's and my things from the class, I continue to try and sort out my feelings. I want to say that I understand her, and that I'm there for her, but while I might have been able to say that just yesterday, I can't say it now. I wish I could.
I like how Muto just went into like crazy serious mode and dropped like all the bros. Yeah, it's good.
I thought it was proper. It was a very serious time.
Mm-hmm.
I lay on my bed, trying to collect my thoughts. After Hanako's panic attack, I found myself fundamentally reassuring the relationship we share and what I know of her. I had a hard time enough dealing with 4 months in the hospital. One look at her scars tell me that she was in one for a lot longer than I was. But that as it may, I know next to nothing about her past. She has told me about the house fire, but only in the most basic way. What about her family? I still haven't asked Lily about them. There hasn't been a good opportunity to bring it up. I don't know where she grew up, or what her old school was like, nor of her past friends, her wishes and ambitions. Not even her taste in music, food, and movies. All the little things that I knew about all my old friends. Just what have I been doing for all this time I've been with her and Lily? In the distance, I hear the bells signaling the end of classes. With any luck, Lily will soon realize that neither Hanako nor I are around and return to the dormitories. My mobile phone starts to ring, cutting my thinking short. It quite startles me, as I've rarely been called since coming to Yamaku. Hello, Hisao Nakai speaking.
Oh, Hisao, I'm glad I found you. You weren't at any of our usual places, so I thought this would be the fastest way to contact you.
I probably should have guessed it would be Lily, as she's one of the few people I've given my number to. Even through the phone, her voice sounds slightly on edge. Hanako and I left class early. She had some kind of panic attack. The line goes silent, as if it weren't for the background static. And if it weren't for the background static, I would have thought Lily had hung up on me.
I understand. Could you come by my room? I'd like to talk with you.
Sure, I'd appreciate the chance to have a bit of a talk, actually.
Good. Good. I also have some bad news. I think we should discuss this in person.
It's hard to grasp the seriousness of the situation from Lily's tone. She sounds so calm most of the time, but that could be a good or bad thing, depending on how you look at it. Okay, I'll Be right there. I collect Haneko's school things from my desk and head straight for Lily's room. I rap my knuckles on her door and she soon calls me in. Lily sits at the table inside her room, looking a little worse for wear. I guess that's because of the bad news. Following her gesture of invitation, I sit across from her and lay Haneko's things on the table.
Well, there's no point in either of us waiting. Would you mind going first, Hisao? What happened today?
My memory of the incident is already beginning to fade, but I explained it as best as I can to Lily. Inviting Haneko to work with the group, Shizune and Misha's questioning, our foray to town getting discovered, and the subsequent panic attack. I add Shizune's reaction almost as an afterthought, but Lily seems to take some kind of comfort in hearing about it. I guess rivals don't become rivals for no reason. There must be some history there, but now isn't the time to explore it.
I see. She had said her therapist sessions were helping, but I had my doubts. It's quite a shame. Her birthday has caused problems before, but I had hoped that she would have improved with you around and the more intensive therapy. Where is Hanako now?
Last time I saw her, she was in the infirmary. I guess she's gone back to her room by now?
She wasn't in the library or the tea room when I checked, so I can only assume that too.
You said you also had some bad news? What's the matter? Does it concern Hanako? Lily shifts her position, her body's way of saying she's searching for the right words.
My aunt has fallen gravely ill. I'm afraid I'm going to be heading back to Scotland to visit her and to spend some time with my family.
What? Is she alright? When do you leave?
I'm not altogether sure of exactly how she's faring at the moment, though last I heard she was stable. I'll be leaving Saturday. It's the earliest flight that I could get.
Stable. That's code for it needs to stay in the hospital. I've been stable long enough to know that, and to know that it doesn't necessarily mean someone is in good condition, but merely treading water. On the upside, stable is much better than critical condition. At least she's not on the brink of death. Stable. It's a relief.
Yes, but this means that I won't be here for Hanako's birthday. I wanted to tell you now so we could think of something before we told Hanako, but after today's events, I'm not even sure there's going to be an issue if we simply cancel the party.
I don't think that's such a good idea. Hanako already knows that we were planning a party now. To go back on it seems like the wrong thing to do. Also, we should do something for your going away, right?
You make it sound as if I won't be coming back. If all goes well, I should only be away for a week, though possibly two.
That's one relief, at least.
With that in mind, what do you suggest then?
Given the circumstances, I don't think karaoke is really appropriate. You're not going away for the greatest of reasons, so having too much fun would feel wrong. What did you do for her birthday last year?
Last year, I literally couldn't get her out of her room. She'd locked the door. All I could do was leave food outside for her, making sure that she was at least eating well.
This is perhaps the most depressed I've ever seen and heard Lily act. I feel sorry for her, given how defeated she must feel to be unable to help her closest friend. Perhaps it would be better to throw the party before you leave then?
That does sound like it would be the easiest option.
I think we should at least tell Hanako, both about your trip and her party. I have her things from class as well.
That's a good point. Should we go and visit her now?
I think that would be a good idea. Part of me is dying to see Hanako. The last time I saw her, she looked like death walking, and these last few hours have torn me apart just thinking about it. We quietly get up and file out of Lily's room. Hanako's room is next door in the same hallway. Knocking lightly gets us no response, but the door proves to be unlocked. Lily pauses for a moment as the handle unexpectedly moves under her hand before opening the door. Hanako's room is startling bare and monotone. There are no decorations on the plain white walls. A plain dark blue blanket. and only a few books, papers, and purely utilitarian items on the shelves. Even her bedsheets are monocolor. The entire room feels as subdued as Hanako's character.
Oh.
Hanako herself is lying curled up on her bed. She may not be crying now, but her eyes are closed tightly to stop herself, and the tracks left by her tears still sit on her reddened cheeks. I quietly walk in and set her bag down on her desk, afraid of startling her too much.
Hello, Hanako. Hisao told me about what happened today. Are you alright?
Hanako's eyes open, though only a little.
I'm okay.
She tilts her head slightly to look at me, noticing my grimacing before I can hide it.
Sorry for making you worry. Really, I'm fine now.
She really doesn't look nor sound okay, though at least she seems more calm than she was before. She still looks as if the slightest breath could emotionally break her. I said it before, right? You don't need to be sorry for this.
Hisao's right. I shouldn't have hidden something like a birthday celebration from you.
You okay?
Yep. Yeah.
Aw.
I'm fine. I see Hanako shiver at the word. Lily picks up on the silence that follows and crouches down to Hanako's level.
I'm the one who should be sorry, Hanako.
Hanako's eyes open to peer at Lily. She looks at Lily for some time, taking in her face with those dark, analytical eyes of hers. Lily must have made the right impression on her as Hanako recovers enough to prop herself up on the bed and shift to sitting on its side. Hanako worries about many things, but troubling others is foremost amongst them. Hearing Hanako shuffling, Lily moves forward and feels out the side of the bed, eventually taking a seat beside her and taking Hanako's left hand in both of hers. The feeling of me being out of place when the two are together has lessened in the time that we've known each other, but it's still occasionally very much there. This is one of those times, I think. Lily, if you want me to go...
I don't want that.
Lily and I are both surprised at Hanako's mustering her courage. A half-mumbled okay is all I can give her in reply, and I take her desk chair to sit in.
Hanako, I'm afraid I have some bad news.
So Lily's going to break the news now. With Hanako having affirmed our relationship so clearly, perhaps Lily thought the timing was good, or at least as good as it ever will be.
My aunt has fallen ill, so I need to return to my family for a time.
Concern replaces Hanako's remorseful expression.
Your family. You mean in Scotland, right?
That's right. Akira and I will be leaving Saturday.
So you're going away?
I won't be gone for long, probably only a week or two. I'll be back before you know it, and Hisao will be here, right?
That's right. I'm not going anywhere. Hanako seems to take only minor comfort in this, but she does manage to summon some resolve from somewhere inside her.
Is your aunt going to be alright?
I'm not sure.
Silence falls. It's depressing that the thing to truly bring Hanako out of her rut is another misfortune. I decide to bring up the other matter that brought us here, to distract at least in part from the dismal feeling permeating the room. Anyway, we were thinking that it would be a good idea to have a going away party for Lily, and it could double as... yeah. I cut myself off before mentioning her birthday, as it seems to be a trigger for such fierce emotions within her. Lily gives Hanako's hand a gentle squeeze.
Is it alright by you, Hanako? It won't be anything lavish or overdone, just something small in my room.
So just in the school? Just us?
That's right, just the three of us. If you like, I could ask Akira to come as well.
Okay. You're only going for a week?
1 week or 2, yes. I promise you it won't be any longer.
Okay.
Most people would be upset at hearing about a friend's family member falling ill and happy at having a party. But with Hanako, it seems that both events are on the same level. Alright then. You look like you need a rest, Hanako, so it might be best if we all went back to our rooms for now.
You know that if you ever want anything, you can always talk to me or Hisao, right?
Lily's voice is pensive, an unusual edge for someone as confident in herself as she.
I understand. Thank you, Lily. Hisao.
Well then, good night, Hanako.
Night.
I let out a long breath after the door closes behind us. It feels a little like I've been deep underwater, and only now have been able to come up for air. Lily doesn't seem to be doing well either. She looks pale and drawn. Are you alright?
I'm just a little tired. It's been hectic recently.
Have you slept at all? A little tired sounds like an understatement, given how you look.
I think I managed to get a couple hours of sleep before class. I'll be okay.
I feel bad about pressing Lily right now. I think both of us are pretty tired from everything that's happened as well. I think you should get some rest. It's been a big day, and staying up isn't good for your complexion.
Thank you for your concern, Hisao. Good night then.
Okay. Night, Lily. After leaving Lily in the hallway, she opens the door to her room and begin to make my way to my own. As I walk down the quiet hallway, I can't get the image of Hanako out of my mind. Huddled and pitiable, laying helpless with tears on her cheeks, I began to think that she was just a normal, if extremely shy person, but her problems run much deeper. Trying to take our relationship further than what we share now, when she's so fragile and vulnerable, wouldn't be right. I don't need to be more than her friend in order to protect her, to try and stop anything like this ever happening again. The possibility of my feelings for her going beyond that, that doesn't matter anymore. Hanako is precious to me, and that's why I can't take advantage of her. But even so, there's still that string I feel when I think that way. For now, I need to sleep. Tomorrow, hopefully, will be a better day. I can't!
Oh,
What?
man. Ah.
There's
This is
too
like-
much!
This is like the most emotional this whole thing has been.
You know I'm really truly grateful to have met somebody just like you. But life it goes along, and from what I know that means we'll have to part soon. Now carrying these memories which paint me with a smile, I walk away from yesterday to our faded goodbye.
And that's like,
Oh, yeah.
and that's saying something. I mean, Lily wasn't that emotional.
Mm-mm.
It
Emmy
was-
was for like the
yeah.
yeah, but it was very like it was relationship based. Like she did have loss in her life, but she was able to voice that to you.
The thing with Emmy was like she closed herself off because she just wanted to prove that she could do it by herself, right? Like she was just whatever, and it was because of her dad's loss, but it's not like she didn't like have any traumatic experience, right?
Yeah, but
She-
Hanako just like she can't do it by herself. Not at this point anyway. Like she's just so damaged.
Yeah. No,
that
she
like
is,
just the mention of her birthday completely shut her off.
like she can't function, right? Like, you know, Emmy could still function, right?
Yeah.
She kind of took the, like, there's the two ways of dealing with something like this, right? You can either go the Emmy route and like shut everything off and like, you know, be like, whatever, doesn't matter, it's not gonna affect me, and then you just become like a very distant emotionally person, like in that way, but you're still functioning. And then you do the Hanako way, where you just totally break down, and then you just you can't even do it. And like this fuck,
So emotional.
we better get the good ending, because I can't, if we fuck up somewhere along the way,
I know.